this for our records. I'm also going to turn off the sound from when people keep coming in and out. Yes. Okay. So hello, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of CISC Presents Earthweek 2023, where our topic is climate change. And so I am Candace Clark, better known as Candle the Farm Plug. I work in the CISC, I work with Cooperative Extension from Chicago. So we got a lot of beautiful, beautiful connections that we're about to make this evening. But just to kind of recap the week. So day 1, of course, we had Movie Monday, where we watched the film by our very own William Baker, and he opened us up to the conversation of what is the role of art and controlling our narrative when we're having this conversation around climate. Because again, this is a huge conversation, and the point is to explore it from all of these different angles, right? Not to try and solve everything, we're exploring solutions here. It's about engagement and discourse. So I encourage you all, if you know someone who may be interested in venture capitalism, climate change, cannabis, innovation, all of these things, then you might want to send them this link, because this is the conversation that they definitely want to be in right now. And so on Tuesday, we had TU Tuesday, where we explored the work of the National Black Food Justice Alliance with their co-executive director and one of Tuskegee University's wonderful alumni, Dr. Jasmine Ratliff Jackson. We got to learn about their agroecology center that has opened in November in conjunction with FAMU. On Wednesday, we had the chance to talk with Chef Marley, right, where we had a conversation about the role and the power of ancestral seeds. And we got to learn a little bit more about Chef Marley and her journey and their journey. And we knocked on the door of some of the cool crops that she's growing. But today, on this beloved day, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you'll find out eventually. But we are going to have a great conversation. And what better way to have this conversation on venture capital than having it with investors and people looking for investment, people who are actually in the field doing this work as entrepreneurs and all being farmers at the same time. So with that being said, I want to create some space for Mr. Hooks and for Dr. Shange to make some comments if you all have any, just to welcome people, and then we'll hop in with our featured panelists.
Oh, I didn't even know I was unmuted. Welcome, everybody. Like I was saying in the chat, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for coming to Thursday, Tech Thursday, and this great panel that Candle has set up for us. I'm looking to learn more about the venture capitalism. I'm here to learn more about today's activities. And once again, thank you all for showing up. What was that, Candace?
Nothing at all. Thank you so much, Mr. Hooks. And as always, please check the comments. Mr. Hooks will be dropping in a link for our Qualtrics survey. So we would really appreciate it. We need you all, appreciate you all filling out that survey. Fill it out, fill it out, fill it out. And I'm gonna say it like 16 more times. Fill it out, fill it out, fill it out. And with that, I'll make some room for Dr. Shange to make any comments that you have, and then we'll get started.
Well, welcome. Looking forward to tonight. I am definitely looking forward to it. I'm always grateful for the feminine energy that's really kind of carrying us, but I love to see some young brothers doing some good work out there. So looking forward to hearing what's going on tonight. And welcome to these two brothers that have been actually helping us, not just at Tuskegee, but us in Alabama and us in the Southeast region. So looking forward to it.
Ashe, thank you so much, Dr. Shange. And with that, we are going to go ahead and ask. So we've got one speaker here, and I'm going to ask for our beloved Matthew Robinson to come on, and we're going to hop on into this conversation. So, of course, I love for people to introduce themselves, give you all that platform and that space to do that. So if you would like, Sir Antoine Mordican, to introduce yourself, let us know who you are, tell us a little bit about your journey, and what is your connection to the world of venture capitalism.
All right. Hey there, how everybody doing? My name is Antoine Mordican. I'm originally from the west side of Chicago. I'm currently here in Alabama. I'm a graduate from Alabama A&M University with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I also have an MBA in project management. I'm an engineer by nature, but I'm also the CEO of a hemp cultivation farm out here in Alabama. We've been operating for 3 years now, but I'm also the CEO of Native Black Cultivation, which is the expiring medical cannabis cultivation company, which we are on track to become the first Black-owned medical cannabis cultivation company here in the state of Alabama. And my relationship with venture capitalists is to be able to operate in this cannabis space, even to be able to enter, it takes a wealth of capital and overhead that it takes to be able to enter and be able to operate. So that's my relationship that I'm currently in the space of raising money to be able to connect with more investors, ultimately, people that believe in my vision to be able to fund my vision.
So thank you so much for that. I'm so excited for us to unpack this because one of the awesome things that he didn't even mention, he's also the state chapter president of Minorities for Medical Marijuana, and also one of our co-hosts for our show, our radio show in Montgomery called Growing the Green, where we had the opportunity to really unpack this plant for all of its potential beyond ingestion, right? We explored biofuel and biomass and all of these different things, and looking at the war on drugs and actually how it is a real proponent and solution and a very viable solution for climate change. And so we'll dive more into that a little bit later. But I want to give Matt a chance to go ahead and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his story and what his connection is to venture capital. I'm just saying, he was out in the field, so he might be taking a while. So if he take a while, kid. Matt, let me see. Okay, well, while we wait for Matt, right, we're gonna keep on going. So you told us a little bit. Oh,
Well, I'm here. My signal keeps going in and out. My bad. I'm in the field trying to get this plastic laid before the rain comes. But yeah. What you want me to introduce myself?
yeah, definitely. So just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey and your relationship to venture capital. If you want to turn your video off, it might help. Your signal is a little shaky. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. We got music. Come on now. Let me see. I can't really do nothing about his signal.
Yeah, he dropped out.
Yeah, he dropped. Okay, well, we'll figure that out. But as you can see, Matt is also a very real farmer because he is outside with his hat on. There he is. Okay. You got us?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my signal. But yeah, I'm former Tuskegee Cooperative Extension, Tuskegee alumni, got my bachelor's and master's in plant and soil science. I think what brings me to this conversation is my relationship with Ag Launch, which is a nonprofit that was started in West Tennessee. And they created a farmer network where, in exchange for equity in ag tech startups, we provide field trials. So, I'm just here to elaborate on the program that we have going. Just like what is it, Antoine? Antoine? Yeah, Antoine. Yeah, I was formerly in the hemp space. I wasn't as successful, but definitely a journey. Would love to hear about, your trials, tribulations there. Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So Matt, while we have you though, and your signal is good, could you tell us a little bit more about Ag Launch, who they are, what is their, how do they actually operate, and what is their impact in venture capital?
Okay, so from my knowledge, I started working with Ag Launch probably back in, well, I've been on, are they on this call right now, by the way? Jade, Kelly?
I don't think so. They have the link though, so if they are free, then they'll hop in.
Okay, for sure. But yeah, so just being in the common space with them for a while, they used to just operate as a nonprofit, just helping farmers, uh, with aches and pains, growing, business development, technical assistance. Um, then it became a thing of like the, we all know that the model for farming is broke. Like the decreasing amount of farmers we have every year, the the rise in capital it takes to start a farm. Um, it's so many different factors that are broken, and like the wealth isn't really created on the farm. It's the different intermediaries that that maybe procure products, that create technology, this and that. That's where the wealth is created. So it's like you have this gap that's being created at the farmer's expense. So to tackle that problem, they created a model where startup companies give no less than 5% of their diluted share to the LLC in which farmers are members of, in exchange to go through a accelerator slash incubator where they learn, different business skills. They get access to the sister, what is it? It's a angel investor. So like venture capital, but like, there's a sister group where they do angel investing. And yeah, and so the farmers get equity in that. And on our end, we just have to provide technical assistance and farm trials to these companies.
Okay.
So I think they did a SBA report last year. So far, there's 44 farmers in the network, and like within the bylaws, I want to say that it's inclusion. So like a certain percentage of the farmers have to be BIPOC, and within that, like you got your African American farmers. They just brought in Oklahoma, so they have um, Native American farmers, federally listed, tribal entities, you know, women, own small business. So it just encompasses a broad range. But it's like, Pete J, like as they like to say, it's like it's the farmer group isn't just like your typical, like the typical farmers you see in the room. It's your innovators, the what they like to call the 2.5% of the farmers that push innovation to where mass adoption follows afterwards. So it's been a it's very time consuming as far as like the obligations and the farm trials, but it's also re-sparked my interest in ag because it could get mundane sometimes, like research this and that. But once you start like hearing about, oh, this company they spraying with drones, or this company they have a robot that can chop weeds in the field, or this company they developing solar in the field to produce ammonia, containerized ammonia plants. Or they, it's just all kinds of different ag tech projects that are like real solution based. And so part of the LLC, like every year we onboard 7 companies and the farmers have to vote on it. So yeah.
Okay.
So
No,
yeah.
I appreciate that, because I want to ask you, Antoine, if you could, in your own words, kind of tell us what is venture capital? So we're talking about it, but like the average person, unless you're an entrepreneur or an innovator, you may not know what venture capital is and why it's important and how it impacts everybody. So what is venture capital to you?
Venture capitalists, I pretty much view venture capital as entities or individuals that has access to high amount of capital to be able to reinvest into other industries such as my own or agriculture or startup businesses. and things like that. So how I view venture capital is really it's the money folks. It's the money folks to be able to connect to, and then that can be in different ways. It can either be an angel investor that may end up giving once they invest, it may end up taking a equity percentage of the company, or it can be a venture capitalist that may end up giving you a loan for your operational and startup costs and things like that. So it really just depends on your need for it. But how I view venture capital is the people with the money.
Okay, so what does that mean for Black and brown people?
What does that mean for Black and brown people? We need to find people that want to invest into, Black and brown companies, and that want to be able to see us succeed, and, to be able to get into the industry, to be able to win. Because what I'll say, since I've been on my journey, it's a tough hurdle to be able to find access to capital, especially for those that have these large wallets, that has these, millions of dollars that it may end up taking. Some of those are a little tighter with their purse. So it's a little bit more competitive for us to be able to find capital that we need out here. But it is some good people out here, but it's a little harder for us to be able to find access to that money.
Ashay, thank you. So what about you, Matt? How would you define venture capital? What is it, and what does it mean for Black people, Black and brown people? He's outside. He's trying to be outside. Okay. Like, he's disappeared? No, he was there. Yeah.
Yo, was you asking me something?
I'm about to fight you, Matt.
No, I swear I just finished. I had to lay some plastic, man. It's been a terrible day.
The question is, how would you define venture capital, and what does it mean for Black and brown people?
Okay. Oh yeah. So what is venture capital? Venture capital is when I think it's when you put money into a smaller company that has like long-term growth potential. So like a startup. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money per se, but that's usually how it is. Usually by an accredited investor, but there's ways around that if you form like a group partnership or LLC, things of that nature. What does it mean for brown and Black people?
Yeah.
I think you gotta kind of narrow that in a little bit. Like, what does it mean for like brown and Black businesses per se?
Sure.
I mean, of course, like with anything, I think Black small businesses and startups don't have as much access to venture capital funds as their counterparts. That being other ethnicities. But I think there's major strides, out in the space to address those problems. Jade sent me like a link to an HBCU fund where they're like investing in founders and tech startups of HBCUs. So, there are programs out there. There is money out there. You just have to find it. You have to be privy to the information, really.
Yeah, it's tough to get to it.
It definitely is. And so but when so the theme of this week is climate change, right? And so I think that a lot of the times when people think about climate change and the solutions to climate change, that we really lean on technology and we lean on these different innovations that are popping up to help us do things more efficiently, with less carbon intake or less energy intensive and things like that. And so can you all kind of touch on the connection? Like, what are the intersections between venture capital, investment, and climate for us as Black people who are like, our community is going to be the most impacted by this, right? And so when we look at these intersections, what are some things that we should be taking away from the relationship of venture capital, investment, and climate?
I could start. I'll say it's going to be important, like Matthew said, the innovation that comes with needing that capital. So, for example, I consider myself as a farmer, but I'm not your traditional farmer. I tell folks I'm a farmer of the future. I don't cultivate out in the fields. I'm more indoor. My background is engineering. I cultivate hydroponically. So the new facility that I'll be building to be able to cultivate medical cannabis, I can really grow anything in this facility, but it will be a climate smart agricultural facility where I'll be able to control all the parameters that it takes to be able to cultivate a premium crop and a quality product, and to be able to get investment dollars for that. So to be able to tie the two together as well, I can be able to grow hemp indoors, I can grow tomatoes, I can grow pretty much whatever with the infrastructure that I will have, which it can be utilized for whatever we want in the future. However, my crop of choice just happens to be medical cannabis. So as I'm looking for investor capitalists and to be able to raise the funds and everything it is that I need, I can be able to repurpose a lot of the stuff that I have going on. Let's say if the medical cannabis end up bellying up, that is no more money into it. Well, I can change my business model to be able to cultivate other crops as well, to be able to continue that good that revenue and cash flow, to be able to keep the company sustainable, as well as we continue to scale and build out and just continue to grow. But yeah, my background and with everything I do, climate smart or climate friendly, however folks like to put wording. Agriculture is the way to go for myself in the future, and I'm encouraging everybody to get a little bit more familiar with climate smart agriculture, or more indoor or greenhouse or covered cultivation, or agricultural practices just in general. Just because as a hemp farmer, with me being in the space for a couple of years now, and I know those that still did a lot of outdoor growing, they just ran into a lot of issues that I didn't necessarily run into once I was able to cultivate indoors and kind of able to protect my crop a little bit more. So with the seasons becoming a little bit more harsh and not being as predictable as they usually are, we have to be able to find different ways to create preventative steps to prevent us from losing entire crops that, if these harvests for our livelihood or to be able to supply a huge demand, we need to make sure that we keep it protected and covered, that we're able to produce a good product. So yeah, that's what I got with the with the relationship of agriculture and venture capitalists, and as well as agricultural climate. Yeah.
Okay, so what about you? What about you, Matt? When you think about the relationship or the intersection between venture capital investment and climate, right? What are some things that come to your mind as it pertains to like the Black community?
I would say in coming up with, I guess, climate smart companies, that make sense, that venture capitalists will want to invest in. I can't really speak on, well, I don't want to be broad. I mean, I don't want to just speak specifically on Black tech, but I mean, just addressing your question, it will be for Black startup businesses to, to focus on climate smart green technology. But as far as like ag launch, I think in the portfolio, there's a company that digs out. You familiar with hog lagoons, like from hog houses?
Like you got to have a catchment area.
Yeah, so it's a lagoon that's in the back of the hog houses where they, have flush alleys that flush out the feces to the lagoon. And so, after about a lot of these farms, when the pork industry kind of bellied up a while back, they just been sitting there. And so there's a company that started excavating these lagoons because it's just been sitting there for, years. And the sediment sitting there so long, they take it out. They have like some type of proprietary technology to dry it out, but it's very high in phosphorus. So it's like a replacement for, they call it MAP, which, row croppers use to throw phosphorus out, synthetic fertilizer, but it's roughly the same price point, and, it's organic. So it's tied to carbon. It's good for your soil. That's a sustainable industry, And that's the type of thinking that it's going to take for us to, you know, I guess, you know, clean up the environment or keep from, you know, continuously polluting it, or, you know, just things with sustainability in mind. Trying to think of any others I can think of off the top of my head.
No, I appreciate that, because I mean, really, it's about innovation. And I have been able to spend some time in California, and something that I keep hearing is this phrase called an ecosystem of innovation, right? And what that is basically where you have a university or a school that is actively doing research, and then you have industries that come and support some of that research, but you also get entrepreneurs and innovations that come from the research that the students do, and then they graduate and they move on, but then they become members of industry with their innovations. And so when they come back to their university, they're able to kind of hire people, they're able to create research and development centers that then allows for more research and development to take place. And they're
Well, I
calling
could actually give you a black-owned one. Guy named Johan from St. Lucia. He has y'all can look it up. It's a company called Algas, ALGAS. And I'm some of you may be aware, but there's a seaweed problem in the Caribbean. There's sargassum seaweed. I think like this is I don't know its full scientific name, but it's a type of seaweed that comes on the beaches in mass. Like, I mean, it's like crazy blooms of it. And then it comes on the shore and it decomposes and it off gases like a toxic, you know, it just becomes toxic to the environment. So he's taking that and created an extract. He has like some proprietary technology for the extract, because I think it has what's that the poison that's in cyanide or something? Yeah, I think it removes the cyanide from it. But yeah, and so like he's created a natural fertilizer from an ecological. So he's taken an ecological problem and solved it, and in turn has made a fertilizer from it. You know, that helps with abiotic stress, biotic stresses, reduces the amount of fertilizer that you need by 20%. So, you know, those are the type of solutions that I like. Those are the type of companies I like, that, you know, I like to invest in, that I like to do business with, you know, things of that nature.
So I'm kind of wondering, right? Because like you just said, Matt, you're an investor and you're actively seeking investment, right? And so I'm wondering if you all, like, what are some key pieces of information for someone who may be watching this as a freshman or an undergrad or something, or someone in a graduate research program? What are some key things that they should know about the world of venture capital, whether that's investing or finding investors? So I'll let Matt go first, because you're an investor. So when you're investing, what are things that you're looking for?
Have you seen that meme? Or now what's that on TikTok? Like, think big. You need to be thinking big. I ain't gonna say
You're
the
not
explicit
thinking big
words,
enough.
but
Yeah.
think big. Like, yeah, that part. You know, just think big. You know, something powerful, innovative, like something you willing to stand behind, and like that's your life's work.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not that deep, then you know the company's probably not worth investing in. If you're not willing to stand behind it for a long period of time, or like the founder, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I heard is that you really kind of look towards the personality of the individuals in a certain type of way. Like if they don't embody or totally stand behind their product, then you as an investor, it makes it less likely for you to want to support and invest in that product. So Antoine, what about you? What are some things that people should know before they enter this space?
All right. So what I would say for folks to know is be very knowledgeable of the industry that you're trying to enter, be very well versed in your research, understand your market, understand who your target audience, your target customer is going to be, and have a solid way to be able to present that to an investor, that they understand what it is that they invested in, and that they can see the actual vision that you're trying to paint for them. And ultimately, investors, they all about their money, man. How they gonna be able to get that return? So you need to know those numbers. You got to have, your financial models already into place. Have those financial performers. Know what your equipment is going to cost, or the material, whatever it needs. Have that soft cost, as most people call it, that you're going to need to be able to start the startup to become operational. How much time you're going to need to be able to start seeing a return. When would you become profitable? And what solution? What solution would you be? What problem would you be providing a solution to? And ultimately, just believing in yourself. At the end of the day, as I tell folks, especially with everything I got going on, the type of money I'm asking for, I'm trying to raise $5 million to fund the vision that I have. Folks got to believe in you as an individual, that they feel comfortable enough giving you this money, that they feel that you're going to do all that it is that you have to do to be able to make sure they get their money back. Nobody want to take a loss. So you at least got to make sure that they even, but folks want to make sure that they get some percentages back on that money. So just making sure that you kind of carve out a good lane that is it's a well thought out process, that you have a solid game plan to be able to run and execute once you're able to get the money. As I tell folks, don't come to folks like, I got this amazing idea. I just need some money to be able to make it happen. Like, no, put in a lot of that sweat equity yourself to be able to make it happen. With all the money it is that I'm asking for, a lot of folks, they don't even want to invest in you unless you put your own money up. If you don't have at least $250,000 invested, as they call it, the skin in the game, a lot of folks not going to take you as serious, because why would they give you their money when you won't bank on your own self? So you got to be able to have that confidence in yourself, that everything that is that you're saying that you're going to do and can do, you will be able to fulfill, to be able to bring that return back for your investors.
And so while we give the audience some time to get their questions together, and this is a reminder, we're getting to that point, so please get your questions ready, whether you are an undergrad, a small business owner, or even, I see we've got some extension agents on here, which kind of guides my next question. So obviously, Antoine, you're an alumni of Alabama A&M, and Matt is an alumni of Tuskegee, right? So we love you, but we had to do it. But I'm wondering, what are some things that our institutions can be doing to support this ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship?
To be honestly, simply support. And I'll say, with everything I got going on, especially in the cannabis space and industry, getting the support from, the alumni chapters of your local areas, or on the national level, getting everybody involved to also just support what it is that you got going on. Like, I'm on track to make history here in the state of Alabama. However, Alabama A&M, they not necessarily too familiar with the industry as of yet, that they want to necessarily support, or being able to Oh man, it's tough to say, because some folks don't even fool with the industry and don't even understand. A lot of people like, I don't know which side of the fence I really stand on, but regardless of whatever side of the fence that you stand on, this industry is here. We have this into law, like it's gonna happen. And the whole reason why I'm even entering the space, to make sure that we have black ownership in this space, and make sure that we're able to funnel the money and the economic stimulation and the opportunities to be in this industry within our community. The only way I felt that I could that could happen if I made it happen. So just making sure that ultimately just support, even if you don't even understand it. As a university and alumni from our respective universities, we must continue to support and uplift each other. We tend to let folks continue to work by themselves on the island until we start to recognize the value into what it is that they're doing. Recognize the value when you see them putting in the sweat and equity to be able to make it happen. Believe and recognize the value when they come to you with the idea and simply need some encouragement on how to be able to perform and execute it. With me, I've been active in this cannabis space since 2019, and I've been kind of pushing it myself, and now I'm kind of starting to get more support, that I'm kind of getting closer to this space, and I'm getting kind of closer to my finish line. But however, now I'm getting news support, media support, and things like that. So some people are more relaxed now to kind of speak more towards it. But as I tell our folks, we need to be the first one to speak up. We can't allow other folks to start speaking up and putting an evaluation on something it is that we're doing. We need to evaluate and set our own price value on what it is that we're doing and treat it as such and continue to lift it high as such. So we won't let somebody else come in and pretty much say, if you got an ounce of gold, but you may not recognize that as gold, somebody else come and give you the valuation, tell you that your ounce of gold is worth $200. When at the same time, you know, the community, they know that you have an ounce of gold. They see that value of gold and they need to respect it and treat it as such so everybody else can be able to see that as well. But we got to continue to, as a community, as an alumni, and as a university, we must continue to uplift Black innovators and Black entrepreneurs in this space and in this industry, in this state, wherever they at. We have to continue to uplift each other so we can stay encouraged and motivated to continue to, you know, push things forward. Because I can just kind of speak for myself, you know, at a certain point when I wasn't necessarily getting the support, I really wanted to quit. I really just wanted to say skip it. I really was done with it all because you know, what's the purpose of working when, you know, nobody's really supporting you? What's the purpose of getting these things done if nobody believes in what it is that you're doing? However, I'm happy I was able to kind of get over that hump and still continue to keep pushing forward. But, you know, we have to continue to support each other. That is the most critical thing, because if nobody's pushing us, you know, like I said, some folks would just kind of leave it behind and they can have, you know, like I said, an ounce of gold in their hand, but not recognizing and just drop it where it's at and pick up a rock and think the rock is more valuable than that gold. So we just got to continue to support and uplift each other.
And so, okay, so what would that support look like though? Is that, because I'm thinking about a place like, so like we both from Chicago, I think about the University of Chicago, for example, and the University of Chicago in the heart of Hyde Park, they have an entire entrepreneurship hub where it's like basically kind of like an incognito warehouse, but they've got, I'm talking about, they got, it's like a huge warehouse in the middle of everything where you can run tests. They got all of the computers you could ever want. They have professors who have office hours and they're also in the space and they spend time back and forth. So what is that? Is that mentorship? Is that like leveraging? Like what does that actually manifest?
It's all the above. So most importantly, it's resources, it's networks, and it's financing. Those can be the most two critical things as well. If you're already in the industry, in this space, and you know somebody else trying to get into it, mentorship, man, that's critical. Because I was seeking mentorship as I was doing what it is that I'm doing in this space, which I ended up finding that it was very tough. And a lot of those, you know, they may not look like myself. I ended up finding those that did look like me, but it's a little bit tough. And if we're supporting each other and if we're sharing that information within the network, they should be able to find a mentorship to be able to kind of help them continue to push it forward. So like I said, resources, finances, and network. That can be the best ways to be able to support. And a lot of it, two of those won't cost you anything.
All right, Matt. So what about you? When you look back at your time, or as you think about your time at Tuskegee, what are some things that that Tuskegee can be doing to kind of support this culture or this ecosystem of innovation? And also, yes, audience, do get your questions ready.
Well, first thing, I would say participating in, so just to be specific, because I was under the impression that Jade and Kelly was going to be on this call to talk about it, but they have a HBCU challenge, ag launch, where you know, they're supporting and funding HBCU students and, you know, tech startup coming from HBCUs, where they, you know, kind of putting them through an incubator, showing them the process, and you know, willing to give some capital and exposure. So if that's what we really claim that we want, then we just got to participate in the programs that's out there, and that's just, you know, that's where it lies there.
Ashe. So I want to kind of open up the floor if there are any questions from the audience, and that's whether you may be interested to learn more about venture capitalism, if you want to know more about angel investing, if you want to know, if you heard a word that maybe you're not familiar with, feel free to type it in the chat and we can kind of the panelists can kind of flesh that out a little bit more. But while we let those boot up, I want to ask you guys again, like, for someone who may be watching this, right? Because this is being recorded and we're going to edit it and share it. What advice would you give someone who may be, I don't know, like a freshman or something? What advice would you give them to maybe either encourage them to enter into an innovative space, right? Or if they are already in an innovative space, to encourage them to keep going? Like, what would you tell them?
I would say understand and recognize the purpose for everything it is that you're seeking. I know we tend to do a lot of things that are trend based and we just tend to follow the crowd. However, if you end up being that unorthodox individual and you got a nice idea or innovative idea, just understand and recognize the purpose and the real reason why you're doing it, because that's what's going to continue to fuel you and keep you going when nobody else is supporting you. Understand and recognize your self-value and what it is that you're able to bring into it. You're going to have to build a lot of self-determination that I learned, especially as an entrepreneur. You have to be able to trust and bank on yourself, and just believe in yourself and the purpose it is that you're trying to execute. As long as you continue to do all the work and put out good energy, all the right things will continue to come to you.
Ashe. What about you, Matt?
Repeat the question for me, please.
So for if there's a young person or someone that's interested in like making the transition into a tech and innovative space, what advice would you give them to either make that leap into innovative entrepreneurship, or if they've already made that leap, what would you tell them to encourage them to keep going on that journey? Because it's interesting, right? Like a lot of people think that startup culture, like when we see Facebooks and stuff like that, that these are like, that is the way that it goes. And like for every one tech startup, or not even tech, for every one startup that makes it, it's like 9 other ones that fail at minimum, right?
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, you got to look at it like Amazon was in Jeff Bezos' like garage, started off in like a garage, you know. Bro was driving like a old Honda Maxima. Like, I mean, it wasn't a microwave company. Let me just say that. So, you know, we just got to get your mindset off of instant gratification and willing to, you know, walk by faith, not by sight. That's why I urge that it be you know, that whatever it is that you're doing, it's something essential. You know, it's something valuable that you can stand on. Like if that was your life's work, you can stand on it and be content knowing that you gave your life to that goal. You know, I'm sure Jeff Bezos like is content just at Amazon. Now he's probably like doing different ventures, but you know, that company's a hell of a feat. You know, it's other companies that are hell of a companies that's solving real problems. So if it's something that you can, you know, stand behind as your life's work, then, you know, it doesn't, just keep going for it, you know, and have faith.
That's beautiful. I know a lot of people, sometimes we glamorize the definition of an entrepreneur, but on the most foundational level, the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who sees a problem and comes up with a solution. It really is just problem solving. It's lucrative problem solving and being able to scale that solution up to a point where other people can have access to it. And I think that especially as we get more in the swing of climate and as we start to see it kind of ramping up more, that there will be plenty of problems that for us to solve. And I'm really excited to see the role that even cannabis can play in solving a lot of these issues, because we're just now becoming able to tap in to this space, right? And I mean, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. But I do want to make some space again. If there are any questions or comments from the chat, feel free. So Carnell, I see you've got a question. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Man, how y'all doing?
Well,
Man, I just had a question because when it come down to that, you know, that type of industry, you know, I always call it PAC. You know, I don't even really say the cannabis part of it, but man, it was probably 2010. I was in I was actually in the studio with Burner and Scott Cooper. Scott Cooper, he is Hexo Corp. If you go to the Robin Hood and pull up his stock, it's Hexo. But I understand venture capitalism, because venture capitalism is like when a private entity invests in you. But from what they told me, because I was actually trying to get a license in it, and then and from the license I was gonna get the operation license in it too. But they was telling me that it had to really make sense for a private equity investor for them to even give you $1. It have to. So they was like, man, you know what you really need to do, man? Get your credit score up to an 800 and build a very big relationship with a credit union. This the time I was in California, and they was like, man, all you got to do is go to them with a plan, write your plan out. When you get your credit score up to like an 800, and that credit union give you 500,000. And at the time, a cannabis license was $1,000, and an operating license was 120,000. So they was like, venture capitalism. I understand what y'all saying. Venture capitalism is when a private investor gives you the money. But when it comes to them private investors like that, or them investors, they be, man, it's like it really have to make sense to them to like give you $1. So Burner told me, and Burner is worth probably 400 million right now. I think he worth like 400 million, and Scott Cooper probably like 100-some million now. But all us was in the studio, me, Metro Boomin, and I think Thug or somebody was in there too. But it's like on my Instagram at the bottom.
You got a whole nother life that you don't be telling nobody about.
but what they told me, they told me as far like private investors, they not gonna for them to give you $1, it gotta make a lot of sense for them to give you $1. They don't, because they cheap. But they billionaires. So they ain't gonna do it to the point where they frustrate you. In order to get past all that frustration, get your credit score up to like an 800, and then go into one of those big credit unions in Cali and write your plan out and get a good relationship with them, and they'll give you like 400,000 at one time. And then the operating license will number like 100,000. And it was like, man, they'll give like 400,000. But I moved back to Montgomery. But I moved back and I started a trucking business before I worked for Extension. But yeah, like the best way, because venture capitalism, that's when the private investors, they get all this big money, but they don't like to get that money. So it's like you have to do it yourself. You got to get the credit score up to like an 800, go in the bank, get the plan together, go to the credit union, get the plan together, get like 100-some thousand. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? Like they really ain't gonna do it. Cause Scott Cooper told me, and Burner told me, Scott Cooper and Burner told me, and Burner right now, that's Burner that got the big cannabis, he got this big cannabis dispensaries everywhere, but he worth like 400 million. But at the time, Scott Cooper Hexo was only like 30 cents a share. Man, I bought like 3,000 shares. Now it's like $1.16, I believe. I check it like every 15 to 20 minutes. And I vote on things too.
So okay, look, Carnell, you be getting too advanced. This is the 101 conversation. So
oh, my bad, man. My bad.
No, you're fine because the point of us having this conversation, and yes, definitely please look in the chat and fill out them surveys. But the point of this conversation is the fact that it became clear to me that exactly what you were saying, Carnell, is that it's all about relationships. And if you don't know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that got $1 billion, then venture capital is something that you may never even come into the sphere of, even though it drives the innovation that we engage with. all day long. You know what I'm saying? Everything around us, all of these innovations, they have patents. This whole processes of research and development that goes into these things. And so we're all at these research institutions. We want to, you know, we talk about building generational wealth, but we have to be real with ourselves about the process and the type of investment that it takes for this generational wealth to materialize in our community. And so for me, in my brain, it's really relationship. And so I appreciate you sharing. Hey, y'all. I appreciate you sharing that, Carnell, because really, again, if you don't know someone who's in this space that is actively working towards a goal to raise this type of money, then there are so many things that you probably wouldn't even know, right? And so the whole purpose of this conversation was really to kind of open it up, especially on a day that is so worthy of celebrating, right? But it's really deeper than the superficial holiday that a lot of people want to celebrate, like the war on drugs, climate change, all of these things. They have a major impact not only on our community as, you know, Black people, but also as Afro-Indigenous people, as farmers, whether you're a farmer traditionally outside like Matt, or you consider yourself a farmer of the future like Antoine. Climate is going to have an impact on your life. And so we need to be in the room when this innovation is happening. And this right now, we're just talking about the beginning of innovation. We're not talking about what happens when the innovation goes through research and development and then gets approved. And now you're talking about policy gets passed. Now you're talking about tax breaks. There's so much that is encompassed in this world, and it's very, very political. It's super political, actually. So super political. And so to be able to understand these things and to be able to know as much as you can before you walk into the room, right? And it's dope that we've got more people coming up like HBCU VC, which is, I think, one of the groups. You got Ag Launch. Of course, you have individuals who are doing this work who can connect you to other people. But someone said Hello Tractor is a company that has used VC to help propel it in agribusiness sector.
Yeah, and I like to speak on those that's looking for a VC. So to be able to get somebody to be an investor into you, or to be able to give you that money, it depends on where you are in your process, and that gives you the negotiation power that you may need. So for example, if you just have a business plan, you haven't really put any work, and you're asking somebody for some money and they believe in the vision. However, they're going to want more points, you know, for them giving you this dollar. They're going to want more equity for them giving you this dollar, because you still have a lot more work that you have to do, and their money is going to be the you know, the fuel for you to be able to do it. However, if you as an individual, you went ahead and set the foundation for your company, you already exhausted a lot of your own money to be able to get things up and running. When you start having these conversations with venture capitalists, you'll have a little bit of legs to stand on once it comes down to negotiating, because you have done a lot of the work already. You already have made it a for sure shot for them. So it's a little bit less of a risk, and they'll be willing to take less of a share, less equity, or as they say, less points. So you can be able to continue to hold more ownership of what it is that you're doing. But a lot of venture capitalists, if you come to them with an idea, they're going to come and try to take majority of it right off the bat. They're going to try to take majority right off the bat. That's just how they operate. That's what I've been learning since dealing with a lot of folks that have millions of dollars and that are these venture capitalists. They always want more points. And you have to be able to justify why you're not giving them more points if that's what they're asking for. So you got to be able to do that due diligence and a lot of that lead work and hard work to be able to put yourself in a strong position to be able to negotiate your terms.
Mm. Yeah, Shark Tank. Exactly. And so, like, even with that, like, a lot of us are familiar with Shark Tank, but how many people feel like they could get on Shark Tank and do a real pitch and be able to negotiate at the end for their percentages and their equity, right? And so there are things that us as a community, we have to put in place to support the next generation, and not even just the next generation, all of us, right? Millennials, anyone who sees an innovation and sees room for that, we have to support, right, and create the infrastructure and the ecosystem to support these types of ideas, not only, you know, getting sparked, but actually being able to get carried into fruition. So I want to make one more opportunity for anyone who may have a question before we slide into our shameless plugs and we get our to-go music. There will not be an after hours today, because if you know, like I know, and you don't got no after hours move, then you got to get in community, and that is #Alabama Canada. We can talk about that another day. So are there any questions, comments, concerns, anything you all want to just ask Matt and Antoine? Anybody? Now is your time. Oh, we'll be back. You've definitely seen these people before, and you'll definitely see them again, and we're definitely going to be back. So of course, no pressure, but if there are no questions, then I just want to give you all some time. So Matt, if you've got a chance, how can people get connected with you, and what are some events that you may have coming up?
Connecting, I mean, my email, my farm is called the Produce Tribe, so you can shoot me an email. I'm only on Instagram, so you can follow me at the Produce Tribe. As far as events, I don't have any events coming up. I am at the farmers market. If you ever in West Tennessee, Memphis. So from I think the end of May to the end of October, every Saturday, I'll be at the downtown Memphis farmers market. If anybody want to stop by.
Do you have any calls to action? Is there any anything political going on that you want people to know about, that they need to research or be aware of? Anything like that?
I will say that I don't know. I just want to give light to my family, like my uncle. He was just in the newspaper. They got CNN coming here next week, but the Ford plant being built out here, yeah, they're taking a lot land under eminent domain and not giving fair comparables to the Black farmers and owners. So yeah, it's a big deal out here, because everybody's land that they're taking is Black. You know, it's a predominantly Black rural area, sort of like Macon County. But yeah, and you know, and it will render a lot of his land inaccessible, and they don't want to give him an easement or a roadway to get to it. You know, so you know they're accommodating big business, but in the process, they're you know effing over the Black population, and you know don't want them to have access to the wealth. You know, so if y'all see anything, you know, in regard, you know, in their light, as far as what's going on out here, you know, just inform the people what they doing. But yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Well, for myself, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very heavily active on there. Antoine Mordican on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram at King Twan84. That's King TWON 84. And action steps, man. We are in a very historic time right now. I'm actually, so the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, they have now allowed the public to be able to chime in on applicants, and I'm now asking for everybody to go to the commission website, check out my application if you like, but also offer comments that you support Native Black cultivation to be awarded a license. I'm also asking everybody to go to my website, nativeblackcultivation.com, and simply subscribe to my mailing list so you can be able to continue to get information directly from me on how you continue to support. But yeah, the biggest thing, I need everybody's support just to offer comments. I'm not asking for no money. I'm not asking for you to come anywhere yet. I ain't asking you to visit nowhere yet, but I'm just simply asking for you to visit. Just simply asking for you to visit Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission website and just offer comments. I'll actually drop that in that link in the box as well too. Yep, perfect, right here. And this will be the link where you can go and check out the applications, and this is where you'll also be able to leave comments for the industry.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's better because I didn't have that right. Yes, y'all. So it's a lot to actually do. Both of these brothers have real calls to action that are happening right now. So if you are someone who is interested in any of this work, definitely click on those links. It can be the link that Dr. Shange put, or any of the two that Antoine put, or just click them and save them in your other browser so you can go back and do it, but it really won't take a lot of your time.
We need that support.
Yes,
We need that support.
We need that support because these are the voices, you know, quite literally that when, you know, in the state capitol, when this policy is being discussed and being passed, these are the people who are standing in the room and have been standing in the room since the beginning of the process, advocating for us as Black people. And one of the things that we've been really big about on Growing the Green is education is key, because soon as these things get legalized, when we talk about us incarceration and all these things, those rates go up. And it becomes even harder for us to, you know, find venture capitalists to break into these industries and get the money that we really deserve from being disenfranchised intentionally for so long. So that's why we wear shirts like 40 acres and a million. And so with that, I'm going to share this song for the road to encourage everyone. If you probably know this song, but if you don't, again, we're going to give you jams all week. Definitely be sure to, again, fill out the survey that Mr. Hooks has been putting in the chat. And tomorrow, our conversation will be in the afternoon. So be sure that you go to the Luma and register for that. We will forward everything to you. That way you can still get the emails and be up to date. But be sure to register for that on Luma. And with that, excuse me, we really appreciate you all's time. We appreciate your questions. We appreciate your energy. We appreciate you for showing up and rocking with us all week, because this is day 4. And yeah, we're going to listen to this music.
I don't know if anybody's not hearing anything, but I do appreciate the ode to 90s hip hop. Thank you, Candace. This one was everybody a great night. And, you know, just amazing work being done by these two brothers. Y'all have a great night. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.
Yes, thank you so much. We're having technical difficulties, but there was a vibe. It couldn't work. But let me tell you what, we'll have two for you tomorrow. So definitely be sure to tune in, and I will drop the link to the song in the chat for you all to be able to rock out with. Thank you so much, Dr. Shanke. Mr. Hooks, thank you so much as well. And again, thank you all so much for your time and for your participation.
Thank you, Candace. Enjoy the rest of your evening.